Hello, good afternoon again. Welcome to the new session of the art of storytelling for freelancers and creatives. This is actually the session 5 of this creative writing masterclass, the art of storytelling for freelancers and creatives. And my name is Jacob Osae, and I'm so excited to host you again for this feed session. And trust me, it's going to be interesting. This session is going to be amazing. I thought it's going to be interesting, and I know you're going to love it so much. And we are just going to get straight into it and look at what we're going to discuss today. So, in this session 5 of our writing masterclass, the art of storytelling for freelancers and creators, our focus is going to be writing dialogue. That's conversation. Dialogue, we all know how imperative or indispensable dialogue is in an everyday life. It's the same thing in storytelling. Dialogue is very important. You can have the best description of a character, but one thing that actually makes the character alive, is dialogue. Because we believe that animals cannot conversate or animated characters cannot conversate. It's actually human beings that can conversate, and conversation is a practical characteristic of someone who's alive. Human beings are characterized because of their conversations. Conversation that makes something look more realistic, and alive. So dialogue is a very imperative aspect of our creative writing process, and I'm so excited for this session. So we're going to look at creating realistic dialogue, how to create dialogue, and the art of improvisation. So let's go straight into it. Creating realistic dialogue. Now, every day in our life, we are always having conversation. For someone like me who doesn't really like talking a lot, I mostly talk to myself because mostly it's about me and myself, because most of the things I talk about is about what I want to do and what I would have to do and how I didn't do what I was supposed to do right, and all those things that come with it. It's quite interesting and quite amazing because dialogue is always happening. If not within two people, it can be one person still talking to himself. If not that, then two people talking about something. If not that, three people, three or more people talking about something. So dialogue is always happening in our everyday lives. And it's also the same with regards to storytelling and creative writing. We are always conversating. We are always talking about something because that's actually how civilization progresses. Conversations are very necessary for the evolution and the progression of civilization and every community. And it's the same actually when it comes to creative writing. Conversation is very important, and that's what we're going to look at in this particular character. So how do you create realistic dialogue? It's quite similar. Like we discussed in the last session, one of the ways also where you can actually make your story relatable and more practical is dialogue, because dialogue is what makes your characters actually alive. If you have a character and the character never talked, it will be some way. But when you get to see a character having conversation, you get to understand its psychology. You get to know more. We get to know more about a character through their conversation, because you don't really get to know people unless they talk. So talking is a very important aspect of our human life, and conversations are very important in our storytelling process. So creating realistic dialogues basically is about circumstances and opportunities. Maybe, for example, you are creating a story about a family. You have the matriarch, you have the patriarch, father, mother, siblings. They're having a conversation about the senior brother who have to go to the university. I'm sure you have an idea of what the conversation is going to be about. The parent wants this guy to go to the university. This guy said, I don't want to go and read biological engineering. I want to do graphic design. The parents say, I don't like you to do graphic design. They're not going to pay all this money. So they're going to waste it on computer. And for such a situation, the kind of dialogue that particular scene will entail, because the circumstances give us a fair idea of what the parents are going to talk about with the child. And that's what I say, that one of the easiest way you can create realistic dialogue is about the circumstances. So when there's a situation, the dialogue will come out naturally from that situation. When there's an issue, a dialogue will come out naturally from that issue. So I think in the beginning of this session, I shared with you a story that I wrote called Eugenia, another interesting story. And I think Eugenia was one of the amazing stories that explored infallible dialogue. And amazingly, in this story, it's actually a dialogue between a human and a supernatural creature. So yeah, it's not actually a dialogue um, between two human beings. It's actually a dialogue between a human and a supernatural creature. And it's an incredible story. And I'm going to use the one as a yardstick for this particular session. So I'm going to share the story with you so that you get to see uh, how the story evolved with the dialogue. So I'm reading Eugenia. Okay, so I'm sure you can all see right now on your screen. So we have Eugenia. Eugenia. So Eugenia is a short story that I wrote. It's a fantasy story. So a summary. So this is a story about an artist, one of the greatest artists in all of Paris. So this actually set in the past, 1948, and it's a conversation between a powerful and a popular artist and a friend, or he actually have a relationship with a spirit or a demon or a phantom who actually is responsible for the great exploit of this artist. And it gets to a point where the artist actually meets someone he actually admires, human, and he comes back from the meeting and he had a conversation with the spirit, and the spirit gets jealous about the fact that the artist is actually going to leave her and run into the hands of this human lady. And the spirit or this phantom is quite distraught about that. And that is the premise for the conversation. So I'm going to read quickly, then we'll follow through and have a great time. Paris, France, 2034 GMT, 1948. You are back. She flapped her wings and waved in the air, shimmering in her quotidian gold radiance. The man she was talking to had just entered his art workshop. It was night, and the cool breeze of the winter season seemed more refreshing than an air conditioner. The man moved on excited. Though he had heard the remarks of Eugenia, the man moved about a little fuzzy about something he only seemed to know. The smile on his face was taking longer than usual. Then again, the man took out a small notebook and confirmed the series of numbers written in a haphazard manner. How was the seminar? Eugenia asked again. So, for your information, Eugenia is a spirit. Eugenia is a spirit that's talking to this man. How was the seminar? Eugenia asked. Well, for God's sake, can I have a little silence here? The man said. Eugenia was startled. Do I have myself to blame for your rude reply? No, I actually have a date at 21:00 p.m. GMT, and the global art competition is in 4 weeks, which we have to win. The man said. A date? With whom? Jenna asked more or getting more apprehensive. Miss Elena Baronov, a Russian princess. You know, this is an opportunity of love I've always prayed for. The man said curtly and moved about to find the best tuxedo for his date. And what about me, a man? Sometimes I marvel how you human forgets so easily. What do you mean by that? Have you forgotten I made you? The great Aman Gavazzi, the great artist and printer in all of Paris. You have the effrontery to say that? Yes, of course, I have the authority to remind you of that. You do forget you are nothing without me. I am a genius on my own, Eugenia. You will not do anything to ruin this night. Aman said and darted about still looking for the best costume for his date. And this woman, what element of uniqueness distinct her from my aura? The truth is she is human, flesh and blood, while you are a fairy, a demon, a spirit, a phantom. How dare you say that to me? Eugenia retorted vehemently. At this moment, her fury knew no bounds. In a state of fury, she whisked around the art room. She grabbed a brush and a palette containing all the painting inks. She quickly mounted a clear whiteboard, and in a twinkle, she had painted an impeccable image of a woman only Amand could recognize. The image was now staring at Amand Gevasi. Amand looked at the image of the woman she had just met some few hours ago. This is Elena Barano. Amand whispered, Holy stand, I guess you recognize her. How did you do this? You call me Phantom? Well, this is it. We phantoms are not bounded by space and time like you humans. We see the past, the present, and the future. How is this so? That is my element of uniqueness. And all these years, I've used these powers to make you a great artist and painter. I have infused your mind with shrewdness, your hands with dexterity, and your soul with finesse. You stand out as the greatest because I, Eugenia, made it so. No, you will not derive me of the freedom of love because you inspired most of the works that I have made me great. Aman challenge. What I did for you, Aman, was more than inspiration. You owe me your very life, and now you want to spurn my company and run into the hands of another woman. So it all boils down to jealousy. You are jealous. I found it. The woman who loves me for who I am. Who are you? You generally closer to Aman. I'm the great Aman Gevrasi, maestro painter and artist. You do allude to the fact that you are great, but what you do not recognize is that I am the reason you can add the word great to your name. Maybe I did not realize this fellowship will ever turn out as formidable as this. You were young, Aman, full of passion, tenacious on becoming a great artist. And you saw the need to aid me achieve my dreams. No, I saw a boy who was lonely and needed company. The secret of greatness has always been same, two becoming one. Eugenia muted. Aman was still obstinate. He moved about the art workshop, still looking for a suit. Alas, he found one and quickly put it on. It fitted perfectly. The thought of seeing Alona again filled him with smart bliss. Sorry, Eugenia. I have my mind made up. I think I'm already in love with Ilona. When is the global art competition? 4 weeks from now? Yes, what about that? Aman shouted and opened the door ready to exit the room for his date. If you ever dream of winning or having any victories, then do not walk out the door. What? Aman exclaimed and stood holding the door, frozen till this day. The end. Oh, that was a lovely story. I guess that was a classic story. I'm sure if you follow the story through, you get to know that this is an amazing story and it's quite interesting. So this is a conversation between a popular artist in France and a spirit that's actually responsible for his fame and his exploits. And they have an interesting conversation because actually the man has found a new lover, and the spirit actually thought he was the lover of the guy and he's going to leave him and all those kind of things that come in. And you get to see how the conversation goes out. Initially, you don't get to see so much about Eugenia, but it's through the conversation that you get to realize that Eugenia is actually not human, but a spirit or a demon. And that's the power of conversation. Conversation actually brings to life some of the subtle things we don't know so much about our characters. And that is the importance of realistic dialogue. So, like I said earlier, dialogue is imperative, and mostly dialogue comes as a result of circumstances and situations that you find yourself in the process of your storytelling. And it's very important to be very creative in creating dialogue because at every point in time, the dialogue brings out the clarity of what's happening in your story. In most cases, you can have a sample summary or description of what's happening, but trust me, the art of improvisation, that's the ability to create something to fit the situation, is also very important in writing dialogue. So I'm sure you've learned a lot in this session, and you want to go back again and create a story where you focus more on dialogue, and hopefully, I'm sure you're going to be great at it. At this juncture, I want to say we are ending this session, and thank you very much for joining the feed session of the Art of Storytelling for Freelancers and Creators. I'm so excited that you've learned so much from this session, and hopefully we shall meet again next week for the next session. Until then, I'm your instructor, Jacob Osae, and thank you for joining once again, and have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.